the change
Yeah.
and transformation you want.
But you know what, Kara and Jack, one thing that I've realized, especially being in this industry for so many years and working with thousands of people, um, people tend to rely on motivation, right?
Mm, mm,
They tend to rely on sheer willpower,
yeah.
but those things are limited, right? Motivation can only last you so long. Motivation is very fickle. It comes and goes. It needs to be replenished. Willpower, once it's drained, it's hard to replenish it, right? Because even the strongest person could get to the point where they're drained, right? So instead of relying on sheer willpower and motivation, which we already know it doesn't last long, I help our clients to really tap into that intrinsic why.
Welcome back to the Dennison Download. I am so excited for our guest today, the infamous Thomas Johnson. How are you? How are you?
I'm well, Kara and Jack. You guys are amazing. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Thank you so much for being here. We're thrilled to have you. I would love for you to introduce yourself, but to give you kind of a little bit of a pep, Thomas is fantastic. He's transformed his life. He used to be a celebrity trainer, doing some fitness and all that really good stuff. And he's transformed now into helping executives really get to that place of wellness so that they can have what I would say kind of that work-life balance so that they can be most effective in their jobs by taking care of themselves. Did I get that right? You tell me.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm a C-suite advisor,
Yeah.
philanthropist, host of the How May I Serve You podcast.
Yeah.
I'm also, I'm the founder and CEO of Get Up and Get Fit Wellness Concierge. You can see the merch on my head.
Yeah.
Specialize in helping high performers that are overstressed, overweight and experiencing low energy to improve their lifestyle and feel amazing long term. So they have the drive to actually perform at a higher level while still have the energy to do what they want. Right. So that's the
Love
goal
it.
right there. This is what we help
Yeah.
our clients achieve. And everything I do is directly connected to social impact. Because I
Mm.
believe you could create wealth and still create impact at the same time. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive.
Oh man, I love that. That's a lot of stuff. You got a lot on your plate, but it's good because um, we work with high achievers as well. And what I find with high achievers is um, they're really focused on success, that achievement. And a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
that takes a huge toll on their body, their health, their mental health, and their wellness and things like that. And it's people need people like you, especially as high achievers.
I have to
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
Thomas, I have to
Talk
ask,
to
I'm
me.
so sorry, but what is it like to be able to take somebody who thinks that it's just like one thing that they need, but then uncover like all of the goodies that you could provide and kind of the suite of help that you can give an individual once you start actually working with them?
That's a good
Yeah,
question.
man. Like the first thing is, man, it's mindset. Because
Mm,
most people they think they know it all, right? They think they know what they want until you get to that root cause, which is
mm,
your mindset, right?
mm,
And once you start to unravel the mindset and really help them to get to the root cause of why they do what they do and how they're doing what they're doing is affecting their productivity or lack of,
mm.
they get that wow, I guess that epiphany effect, right? Now they're wondering, how come I'm just now noticing this,
Mm,
right? So this is why it's so important to have a coach, man, because the coach is
yes.
able to see your blind spots. A coach is able to see around the corners, right?
Mhm,
And I benefited tremendously from having coaches,
mhm,
and so have my clients. So it's just an amazing experience to be able to transform a person's life, because it's not only about myself. It's a collective effort. It's a team effort. If you're not willing to do the work, it's going to be hard for me to do my job. It's going to be
mhm,
hard for my team to do their job. So it's a team effort.
mhm. So it's a team effort. Not only does, but it starts with that mindset, right? It
Yes, it
starts with
does.
wanting to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found being a coach, and I'd love to hear from your perspective too, is it's almost like a domino effect. You start shifting one piece of your mindset, and that trickles down, and you start shifting and changing other parts of your mindset, and that goes into mental health, physical health, or other areas that start shifting and changing and transforming too.
Yeah, Kara, you're absolutely right. I love this this saying, everything matters. Everything matters. How you the people you surround yourself with, the food you consume, right? Your environmental factors, everything matters because it's always a cause and effect, right? So this is why it's important to be conscious of what you're doing and who you surround yourself with. So being able to, and let's go back again to the mindset talk, right? Being able to understand that you have to do the work, right? If you don't change, nothing else is going to change.
Yeah.
All right. Once you're able to understand those words, if I don't change, nothing else is going to change. If you don't accept those words, it's going to be hard for you to change your life. Because for things to change, you have to change. I love that saying from Jim Room, who learned it from his coach Earl Schultz, and I've basically been able to embody it and use it as my life mantra. For things to change, you have to change.
I so agree with that, because there's so many people that I speak to that just want change. They want things to change around them, or they want something different, but it's so hard to do the change within. And it's interesting, right before I got on, it was this morning, I read something online. It was from the Instagram Wait But Why, and his name is Tim. I can't remember, Tim Urban, and he mentioned, if you're looking to change something, right? What I love about yours is everything matters, but that can feel overwhelming if you're just starting, right? So what he said is that your day is broken into these 10-minute intervals. If you want to change, try changing one 10-minute interval. And to what you said is, it's like you have to do the work, but start small, because it does become a trickle effect. Start with 10 minutes, 10-minute mindset or motivation or meditation or whatever. And then as you start changing and shifting, other things in my life, what I found, start to become uncomfortable. They don't start to being aligned with the change that I'm making. And that's a good way to start slow rolling and then fast rolling the change and transformation you want.
But you know what, Kara and Jack, one thing that I've realized, especially being in this industry for so many years and working with thousands of people, people tend to rely on motivation, right? They tend to rely on sheer willpower, but those things are limited, right? Motivation can only last you so long. Motivation is very fickle. It comes and goes. It needs to be replenished. Willpower, once it's drained, it's hard to replenish it, right? Because even the strongest person could get to the point where they're drained, right? So instead of relying on sheer willpower and motivation, which we already know it doesn't last long, I help our clients to really tap into that intrinsic why, that inspiration, that what lies within. Have you heard stories in the past where a person would get diagnosed with an illness and all of a sudden they're able to quit smoking cigarettes or relinquishing whatever vices they have, right? Now they're inspired. Or have you heard stories where mothers have been able to lift up cars from underneath the children, the child, I would say?
Yeah.
Now, tell me, did that mother have the muscle capacity to do that? And also, that person that quit cigarettes within like 2 days after hearing he had lung cancer, did he have the emotional capacity or will to do that previously?
No.
Right? And this is why inspiration is such a powerful source, because it comes from within. It's deep, it's everlasting, you know? So that's one thing that we really leverage especially when I'm working with clients, trying to get them to understand that they need to change. When they tell me their goals, I normally ask them, so when you hit those goals, right? What if you hit those goals? What happens next? And normally when I ask them these questions, they tend to get a bit flabbergasted, right? They tend to kind of like pause in their steps, because I want them to think about themselves in the future, right? Not just oh, I'm hyped. Yes, I'm going to utilize my motivation to get to the no. What are you going to do once you get to this point? And what tends to occur is you tend to go back to your old habits, right? Once you've gotten to that point, you've gotten that bliss feeling, you've gotten to that euphoric feeling, the law of diminishing effect occurs. You go backwards to your old habits because the brain hates to burn calories. The brain loves automation, right? So I'm also a habit coach, right? I focus on the habits, right? We tend to go towards our negative habits. We tend to go take the role, the role of least resistance.
Yeah,
exactly, right? So, and that's how we're wired as human beings. And because and once you understand human nature and you understand how people operate, then you're better able to work with them as individuals.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. You're speaking our language. We're huge into that habit stacking, into building routines. It's so interesting that you gave that story, because in 2022 I was diagnosed with a rare blood thing, and it was because of smoking.
Wow.
And smoking was that one vice. I had given up so many other things, but smoking was that one stressful thing, and it was because of smoking. And the doctor said, if you don't quit, you will get blood cancer. And it's because your blood does not have oxygen. And it was within a couple days, I picked up pacing. I'm pacing back and forth on my porch, and I gave up smoking. And it was one of those things. I wasn't even a heavy smoker, which was shocking, right? I smoked a pack a week. It wasn't even that big. And it was something that I finally had to quit because I needed that inspiration. It was something that I told myself, oh, I could quit anytime, right? But the motivation always ran out. So it was just interesting that you use that example, because I'm like, wow, yes, I completely understand. Like, you need that I hate to use this word, but that triggering inspiration, that why, that really deep seated why. And it's true in ours, what we do with career coaching, with job change, people will be in a toxic workplace for a very long time, and they'll suffer until they get that why, that inspiration to make a change. And it's really interesting. And I'd love to hear from you. Speaking of change, we're huge on transformations. You've transformed your career, your life. What does transformation mean to you? How have you transformed in your life? Can you share a little bit about that with us?
So I've made quite I've transformed my life many times. Let's put it this way. From coming from Liberia, because I wasn't born here, right? I'm a Civil War survivor. I came here when I was 6 years old from Liberia.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah. So the story goes, after my mother and my father had my sister and myself, they left us with our grandmother, because at the time she was very well off, and that was a good idea at the time, right? But shortly afterwards, Civil War broke out. So from being pampered by my grandmother and my cousins, living in a big, compound with a lot of real estate, to running from rebels and seeing people get shot up in front of me, just to running from bombs. I even got lost one point of the time. To then moving to Brooklyn, New York in the early 90s, right? Bronzeville, which wasn't the best neighborhood. To going through dealing with adversity and kids trying to bully you because you're darker skin and you can articulate yourself. Then moving to Staten Island, right, where I was finally able to get out of that survivor mode and I started to really develop my personality and make friends. And then using sports as a outlet, right, and working out as an outlet. And then becoming playing high school sports, going to college, transform my life, and then later on becoming a celebrity trainer. I have transformed my life many times, right? So one thing that's constant is change. Change will forever be constant, right? But it's up to the individual to either change for the good or either stay dormant, which normally would take you once again towards that law of diminishing effect. But I'm stubborn in the sense I'm always looking to better myself. I'm always looking to better myself. So if I'm in a circle and I feel that the folks around me, they're not feeding me. Because there's only so much I could give, right? I'm an empath, so I pick up energy pretty fast. I get drained easily by energy, especially negative energy. So I always have to make sure I'm leveling up. I put myself in a comfortable situation so I don't get stagnant, because I also understand my negative behaviors or my negative habits, right?
Yeah.
So I try to always position myself for success, right? So getting outside of the comfort zone is one of the best thing you can do for yourself, because this is when growth occurs, right?
Yeah.
For a seed to germinate, it has to burst through that seed and burst through the soil to get that sunlight to finally grow and deep its roots deeper, right? For a child to come into this world, the mother has to go through labor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All difficult moments.
Yeah. I really, really love talking to you, and I love everything that you're saying, because that's kind of my personal belief too, is I almost seek out the uncomfortable positions because I'm almost obsessed with finding the lesson now, and I wasn't always like this, right? Because there was a time in my life as I've transformed where I was stuck in that victim mentality. I didn't like change. It was uncomfortable. It was painful. And I think everyone kind of goes through that moment, whether they were younger, older, whatever. And now it's exciting, right? I want to learn the lesson so that I can be better next time around, right? And sometimes the lessons repeat, and we have to learn it a couple of times, but it is what it is. But you said something that was really interesting, something that I've been going through the last couple of years, which was the people I surround myself with. Because as I'm transforming and growing, I'm realizing that some of the people that maybe I surround myself with before are not, maybe they're not at the level that I want to go to, or maybe they're not serving me, or potentially bad advice, or whatever it is, right? And so it's interesting. I do find that you are the accumulation of the people that you spend the most time around, right? Because to take it a step further, you are what you consume, right? Social media, books, podcasts, all that other stuff. Consume the podcast, right? And also yours. But it is something. And now I'm being very, very intentional about that. Jack and I are starting to live and adopt this intentional lifestyle, really being intentional. Right? What you feed your body, what you're consuming, and who we hang out with too, and who we talk to a lot. And sometimes you end those friendships, or what I'm coming to is I'm realizing that friendships have chapters, or we have chapters in our lives where friends are great, we pour a lot into it, and maybe we just part ways. And I've always been okay with that, right? Hey, I don't want to burn the bridge. I just want to, our paths might diverge. How do you feel about that? How has that gone with friendships, relationships as you transform?
You know what? I'm so glad that you asked that question, Kara.
Yeah.
So, Kara and Jack, listen, I have my value hierarchy, right? So my value hierarchy goes as follows.
Okay.
It's God, then it's my peace of mind, and then family, in that order.
Say the last one again.
Peace of mind and family. And the reason why peace of mind is second and not family is, over the years, I've really learned that without your peace of mind, you can be the best you. You can be the best brother, the best son, the best father, uncle, CEO, leader. You can't be the best person, right? And I know you guys have heard this analogy countless times. You can't, when you're on a plane, the plane is about to crash, you have to put on your face mask first before taking care of the next person. So I'd rather invest in myself and allow my cup to run it over so others can benefit. Because if I'm good, I'm able to help others rise up. I'm also able to go through adversity and withstand adversity as well. But imagine I'm depleted. I'm trying to help the next person. It will not work out as well. I'm going to struggle through my efforts. But if I'm fulfilled, if I'm feeling good mentally, physically, spiritually, I could withstand any obstacle. I could do any type of situation and power through it. right? So you have to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
You have to. And with that being said, I'm very mindful of whom I spend my time with. So normally, if a person wants to hop on a call with me, depending on who the person is, I'll either give you 5 minutes of my time, 15 minutes, or 30 minutes, right? Because if this conversation is about, if it's about people and not about ideas of growth, I don't really want to hear it. If it's not feeding me, I don't mind having small talk here and there. But if that's the majority of the conversation, if that's all you're about, I'm sorry, I can't really speak to you as often as you would like. You know, there's also some people who are energy drainers. When they call you, you already know they're calling to complain, right?
Yeah.
So you keep those people at a distance. You can still speak to them once in a while, right? Because of course, you are lights. You want to shine your light, but don't allow these people to deplete you.
Yeah. Yeah. I really love that. Go ahead, Jack.
Thomas, a couple things I just want to touch on. When we're talking about intentional living, back to your quote, everything matters, right?
Yes, indeed.
That's intentional living. And this is a lesson that I've learned for myself here recently. And talking about the hierarchy, God, self, and then family. I've always been God first in how I approach life, always.
Yeah.
With my wife and our relationship. But over the past couple of years, I started realizing that who I am as I go through these transformations isn't necessarily conducive to the old version that other people know. Right?
Exactly. Ooh, yes. Talk about it.
And so I start changing, and then all of a sudden, because and I love this analogy of thinking of relationships like a circuit, right? Electricity, and each piece of the circuit coming from the street or the telephone pole has a role to play. And that old version of you played that role in the circuit. And it could be your family, it could be circles of friends, it could be your job, anything. And then all of a sudden you start changing. And now we're starting to have misfires in the circuitry. We're starting to have bad communication. We're starting to not get along. We're starting to point fingers, maybe not enjoying company as much. Things just seem off. And it's because you've changed. You've become this new thing in that circuit. Others haven't adapted to this change that you've had. And so it's almost like you need to remove yourself and go find a whole new circuit where everything is in alignment again. And I just love the idea of that intentionality and you first, because it allows you to know if your environment is conducive to your growth, to you feeling the best version of you. And it seems like you consistently do that for yourself, Thomas. How do you know when things aren't necessarily in alignment for you? How do you notice for that your own personal self?
So Jack, it has taken me many years to learn about myself, right? To learn about how I interact in different environment and how my body respond to certain people and certain energies, all right? So if I'm speaking to you and I feel awkward, if I'm speaking to you and everything you're saying is affecting me, where I feel that I feel that tension in my chest, yeah, I know something is off, right? So I leverage my previous experience, and I've learned from all those experiences how I interacted, the pros, the cons, and I've learned from it all. And I'm also constantly studying. I study every day. I kid you not. I invest in myself every day. I study every day. But the goal is to get to the point where I'm not only do I master myself, but I'm able to, of course, a master's forever student. So it's an ongoing loop. Students are always trying to get to mastery, but a true master understand that they are forever a student, right? So it's an ongoing loop. It never stops. It never stops. So I'm always learning. So when I'm in spaces where I feel off, I know to distance myself. If I'm in spaces where the person is constantly berating or trying to, putting the next person down, I'm either going to approach that person, right, or I'm going to take myself out of that situation. Plus, myself personally, I hate bullies. So I've always been that person to step up to bullies. So I don't care who you are. If you're bullying somebody, I'm going to fend for you. I've been in that situation. I've been I've been on the other the other end, all right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, protecting your energy, protecting your peace of mind, being self-aware and having that discernment to take action, knowing when to take action,
Mm-hmm.
knowing when to speak up,
Mm-hmm.
knowing when to, have no have a conversation with certain individuals, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have that discernment about you.
It kind of goes back to doing the hard things, doing the uncomfortable things, and learning, right? Hey, I had this uncomfortable conversation with this person. It made me feel this way. Okay, maybe those types of people, maybe not my types of people, and that's okay. And it's not generalizing, but it's more, hey, I feel uncomfortable when people talk about other people, right? Like that example. Or I like to have conversations about ideas and growth and not necessarily about gossip or whatever, right? And I am,
Positioning.
yeah, I am 100% on board with that. And what I like about what you said as well is I am very much the same. I tend to know pretty quickly if you're an energy expander or an energy vampire. And after a conversation, I could feel really jazzed or really excited, like I want to go take on the world, or I could be like, "Ooh, I need a nap." And that's kind of whether I know, hey, I want more of this person in my life, or maybe not so much more of this person in my life. Yeah.
Yeah. And Carrie, it's also you actually teach people how to treat you, right?
Yeah.
Through you accepting their behavior or you creating boundaries. That's one thing I've learned just studying human behavior and just being very intentional and really paying attention to people, how people operate in like in the world. If you allow something to slide the first time, that person is not even going to think about it. All right. They're going to think that their behavior was justifiable. So this is why you have to, like I said, position yourself. You have to nip in the bud while you can, right? Because if you don't, like I said, those situations going to repeat itself over and over and over again. And you're going to feel awkward being in that situation, especially knowing that you don't feel right in that situation. It's going to bother you mentally and physically because everything works. Right? I mean, when you're stressed out, your body's going to show. Right? Your body's going to show. Then it's going to stay within your body. Then it's going to reoccur. Then every time you have that trigger, even if that person's not there, it's going to have that reoccurring behavior patterns.
Yeah. You can try and ignore it, but the body will keep the score.
No, the body will keep the score. The body knows.
Yep.
The body knows.
Absolutely.
So I have to ask, when you've helped some of your clients, these high achievers, and you've actually kind of been in the process of helping them transform,
and they do the work.
And they do the work.
Yeah.
They do the work. How does that change their situation for them? What types of things have you seen from some of these high achievers when they start putting all these pieces together?
Yeah, I mean, the whole life changed, right? Imagine, okay, a perfect example. I had a client that came to us. He had a very stressful lifestyle, right? This guy was literally drinking about 20 cups of coffee a day. When he told me that, Jack and Kara, I thought he was joking. I really thought he was exaggerating. But then when I went over his meal intakes, I'm also nutritious, by the way. When I went over his meal intake, I saw that he was drinking about 18 to 20 cups of coffee.
Whoa.
And he was always stressed out, always in his head. He was overweight, like I said, overstressed. He lacked confidence as well, right? He lacked confidence. So once we started to make the shift, oh man, this guy his attitude transformed, right? Now he has this new confidence, right? He's walking around with his chest up, with his head held high, his posture improved because when you lack confidence, it's going to show in your body language, right? Yeah, your posture is going to show, right? You might start to slouch your head, you might have rounded shoulders. Like I said, everything matters. So his posture improved. He was able to, operate in a place of authority. He even got a better position. His job, he became C-suite. He got a C-suite level position. He started to earn more because he's more confident. He's able to speak up more for himself now. He had a better social life. Everything was affected. Everything was affected, and this is the power of self-investment.
Yeah.
Right? This
I
is the
have to
power.
ask,
Yeah.
how long did you start seeing changes? Like if you could, because you know that like when I work out, I notice my body changes about every month and a half. Like I
Yeah.
can see slight changes in the mirror. But how long did it take for you as his coach to start seeing a difference?
Within 2 weeks, man. Within 2 weeks. Mentally, okay. Like I said,
Love
everything
it.
starts from the mindset, right?
Mhm.
If you're feeding, so if a person is so used to being in this bubble of negativity, and all of a sudden you come with your light, and you're providing them motivation, you're helping them to find that intrinsic why. You're helping them to see the good in them, right? You're helping them to paint a different picture, but you're helping them in a way where you bringing them on board with you. You're not just telling them what to do. You're asking certain questions. You're allowing them to see what is already evident, what's already there, but they just can't see it because they have these blinders on, right? Um, that right there changes a person's life like this within 2 weeks, man. And once you start to build momentum, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, this is when your life starts to change because now you're building these new healthy habits now. Now it's becoming second nature. Now you're feeling good. Now you're eager to do that thing that you once hated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or you once feared. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I love what I do, man, because being able to inspire, transform, and create impact, it fills me up. It literally fills me up. So I've been I couldn't choose any other position because I'm in a good place, man.
Yeah.
I'm in a great place.
Thomas, I am so thrilled that you came on today, and we can tell from your passion, the way you light up, your smile is just so beautiful. You can tell you love what you do, and you love helping people transform. Tell the people listening, how can people find you? We'll have it all in the notes below in the show notes, but tell us how people can find you, where they can listen to you and your amazing podcast, how they can find you on the web, social medias, all that good stuff.
Sure. So the company is called Get Up and Get Fit Wellness Concierge, but you can find me on GetUpNGetFit.com, right? So just go to www.getupandgetfit.com. And guess what? I also have a free gift for you, right? So if you go to free.getupandgetfit.com, you'll receive a free gift, which is some awesome resources to help you live a healthier lifestyle.
That's so
Facebook,
nice.
Instagram, everything is at Get Up and Get Fit. So feel free to reach out. And I know it's Q1. A lot of folks are looking to transform their life. Allow me to lend a helping hand. All right.
Yeah.
That's all I do. Let me lend a helping hand, right? And if you feel that I could, myself and my team could be of further support, we'd love to take you to the next step.
Awesome. So check him out at Get Up and Get Fit. That's Get Up, the letter N, getfit.com, or free.getupandgetfit.com for your free gift. That's so nice, Thomas. I'm going to go get that right after this. I'm very excited. And then also check out his podcast. So I was a guest on it a little bit ago, so you can check out our episode where we talk about Jack and I's amazing weight loss that we had a couple of years ago, how we transformed our wellness game. His podcast is the How May I Serve You podcast, which is so apropos for Thomas because his heart is a servant heart. And I just love it. Thomas, thank you so much for coming on. If you had one last line of piece of advice for people to take away, what would that be?
I would say, once again, for things to change, you have to change, right? So I want you to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I doing right now that's preventing me from getting to the next step? Or what can I change in my life right now? It could be as simplistic as making up your bed in the morning, right?
Yeah.
What can I change right now that's going to help create a momentum in my life?
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for being here, Thomas. For everyone else who is listening, make sure to subscribe to the Dennison Download on all of the places where you listen to your podcast. Follow us on the Dennison Download podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And from our family to yours, have a great week.